for most people, you can describe their golf game just by giving them a handicap. But handicap doesn't really apply to BJ so well as perhaps permanently disabled as far as golf is concerned. I'll give an example of why I say that. I've been told, and of course my sources are all not necessarily reliable, but it doesn't matter. I've been told that BJ was out on the practice range one day when Brian, our golf pro, was finishing up giving a lesson. And so BJ asked Brian if he'd just come over and watch him hit a couple of balls and practice, tell him what he thought. Well, BJ hit some balls and turned to Brian and said, well, what do you think of my game? And Brian said, well, I still prefer golf myself. but BJ persisted. He said, now, surely, Brian, you've seen worse golfers than me. I said, surely, Brian, you've seen worse golfers than me. And Brian said, I heard you the first time, but I was just trying to remember. And finally, BJ said, well, look, can you give me any tips on what would make things better? And Brian said, well, I think you should shorten your clubs by an inch or two. And BJ said, you think that'll help me hit the ball better? And Brian said, well, probably not, but it'll help it fit in the trash can a little bit better. Needless to say, BJ is not going to be taking lessons with Brian anytime in the near future. But in the past, I've heard BJ has also had difficulties with caddies that he's employed at courses where they require caddies. One time, for example, he went out and he had a pond in front of the tee. It was a water hole. And he said to the caddy, you better give me an old ball. And the caddy turned to him and said, you don't have any old balls. You'll lose them before they have time to age. Another time out, he was really having a miserable round. Toward the end, he said, I've never played this badly before. And the caddy said, oh, I'd never realized you played before. Then still another time, he was having a terrible hole. He had taken 10 strokes already on a par 4. He was on the green, line 10. And he's trying to line up his putt, and he says to the caddy, which way do you think it's going to break, left or right? The caddy said, who cares? And one time, he was really having a rough time with his caddy, and finally he said, you must be the worst caddy in the world. And the caddy said, I don't think so. That would be much too much of a coincidence. And, of course, sometimes BJ brings that upon himself. He was playing a course that he hadn't played before once with a caddy, and the caddy said, the next hole is a really tough one. It's a par 3, it's 245 yards, really tough hole. BJ gets to the tee, says, piece of cake. 4 wood and a putter. Gets up there on the tee, dribbles his forward about 5 yards off the tee. Caddy, without breaking stride, hands him his putter and says, sir, it's going to be one hell of a putt from you. Now, despite all of this, BJ does apparently love the game of golf. Really loves to play golf. And he's apparently told people at times that in many ways, golf is better than sex. Linkage? Yes. Okay. Golf is better than sex. And when pressed, he's actually given reasons for why he thinks golf is better than sex. And one of the ones he's indicated is that golf is better than sex because you can stop in the middle and have a beer. Second explanation he's given, golf is better than sex because when your equipment gets old and rusty, you can replace it. One of the ones that's probably most true is he thinks that golf is better than sex because it's easier to hit the sweet spot. And probably the one that's most appealing to BJ is golf is better than sex because you don't have to cuddle with your partner afterwards.
No, you just keep going.
421.
Hey, you know that the first law of holes, when you're in one, stop digging.
I mean, apparently this relationship between golf and sex goes back quite a ways. I mean, I've heard that when BJ was a young fella and was making his first visit to a brothel, he was somewhat intimidated, but he found that there were some very pleasant girls there, and he found one in particular was very attractive. And so they retired to a private room in the back, and within 5 minutes, this girl came running out of the room and went up to the madam and said, "Can you tell me what a mulligan is?" Bob, Larry, and me. It's always fun. But you know, when elderly gentlemen are out on the golf course, it sometimes can be a rather interesting experience, just because of the nature of the group. And one time, for example, we were getting ready to play, and it was kind of foggy, and I thought, well, you know, maybe we may not be able to find the balls. And BJ said, I got perfect eyesight, no problem, I'll see the balls. So we get up on the first tee, and I hit off, and I couldn't see my shot. And I said to BJ, do you see that ball? And he said, perfectly. I said, where is it? I said, I don't remember. Then another time, when Larry and I often are playing against Bob and BJ and giving them lots of strokes just to even up the ability differences. But we're playing this hole, and Larry and I are up around the green, and we're getting ready to play, and BJ and Bob, as usual, off in the rough somewhere. And they're just standing there. And Larry and I said, what the hell's going on? You guys going to hit? And so they hollered over and said, well, we can't figure out which ball belongs to each of us. We're both playing Titleist threes. And we don't know, and it's a two-stroke penalty if you hit the wrong ball. So Larry walked over to try to help. He got over there, looked down, and said, I think I can help. Which one of you guys playing the orange ball? Oh, and then, you know, there was one time, I wasn't there, but I hear that BJ was relating this tale about how he first became aware of Viagra. And it was while he was still practicing, and it was a case that he was involved in of some guy who had died of a Viagra overdose. And apparently the family was greatly disturbed because they had to be buried in an open casket. But BJ, as a result of that, became aware of Viagra. And some years later, as he was getting on, he thought, well, you know, maybe I should look into Viagra. Couldn't hurt. So he went to his urologist and asked about Viagra, and the urologist said, sure, I mean, Viagra can be beneficial for, you know, for lots of people. But then the urologist told him it was $10 a pill at that time. And BJ said, $10 a pill? That's ridiculous. I don't need it that badly. Forget it. He went home and told Elaine about it and said, $10 a pill, can you imagine? Outrageous price. And Elaine said, that's not so bad, 20 bucks a year?